Hey, it's the Mad Master here, doing another video, another time capsule video. So, God, I really fascinated by some of these predictions that people are making about the virus stuff when it comes to astrology, and I might do a separate video about this, but the fact of the matter is that I was wrong in my November 4th video about the cases and stuff of the virus. Unfortunately, I was wrong. But hopefully, I just got some kind of reply. Hopefully by now, so I'm going to do this. This is going to be January, let's say, January 4th of next year. I'm going to be doing this video premiere. So here's the deal. I've been following some astrology stuff for a while because I got into all this tarot shit in the beginning of the year, and it's partly related to my breakup and stuff. I was like, what's gonna happen next? Got into all this fucking manifestation stuff because, as you will see in my May 4th video coming up in about 4 or 5 months from when this video comes out, a lot of stuff has manifested since March of 2019 as far as my life, how some of the stuff happened, believe it or not. So what's the deal with astrology stuff? Well, there's this Jupiter is in conjunction with Pluto and Saturn in Capricorn, and this happened, or the Pluto thing happened 3 times in 2020 by this moment that this video came out. There's this thing called the Astrology podcast, and this has these people, Chris something rather, Austin Kopic, and Kelly, can't remember her name, but I know Austin because I listen to him on Rune Stoop, the podcast with Gordon, what's his name, Gordon White? I can't remember exactly. I listen to Rune Stoop, and it has this guy that does this podcast about New Age and chaos magic and shit, and he's been on there several times. So there's Osher's Astro Finance, and there's also Jody Patry, and there's also there's been 4 or 5 of them, or maybe more than that I've watched that say this stuff about the virus with astrology. And there's this graph, and this graph, mind you, started being implemented on the July, or was it June, of edition of the forecast for July, I believe, of the Astrology podcast. This is called the Astrology podcast. You can Google it. I may do a separate video where it shows this graph. The graph is fucking fascinating. So basically it shows with this Jupiter conjunction Pluto, I believe that's the proper term. Pardon me, I'm not a fucking astrologer, so I don't know all these nuances and stuff about this. So you got the COVID cases. And this is crazy because, there's a lot of conspiracy stuff going on. And Austin Kopic is actually sort of more receptive to that than the other astrologers on the podcast, because he's on Gordon's, Rune Soup podcast, and he talks about that stuff. So this is not in any way supposed to downplay any kind of conspiratorial ideas about the virus. It just happens to be because there's economic stuff that happens as Jupiter conjunction with Pluto that happened 2008, 2007 with the economic crash and stuff. So it's not just oh my God, Jupiter and Pluto. It's more you know what I'm saying? It's not necessarily has to do with the virus. It's just the way that the way that it's playing out. Either way, whether or not you believe in the lethality is not as bad as people say, whether or not you believe that, it's some kind of great reset or whatever the hell, or nanobots in the vaccines or whatever, The fact of the matter is, this graph is fascinating as fuck. So in March or April, it goes up with the Pluto conjunction. They have the cases overlined pretty much dead on. Not completely, but for the most part, when the dip happens in is it August or around there, it dips with the cases, the Jupiter Pluto conjunction. And the funny thing about this Jupiter Pluto conjunction is that it ends in December or early January. And you have this graph. They already did the graph. So they did the graph early on, and it wasn't done, but it was having this rise in November with the conjunction. And they said that the cases will probably go up. And look, lo and behold, the huge case thing happened again at the same time that they said. Or maybe there's a week or two off. Usually it's like a week or two off, like at the most. But it was really fucking creepy. So another thing that's really interesting about it is that Jupiter, I think it's Jupiter and Saturn are in the sign of Capricorn all year, but then there's an eclipse on December 14th, and I think it's December 19th or around there. Jupiter and this it goes into Aquarius instead of Capricorn. So Capricorn I'm a Capricorn moon, so, and I think it has to do with like there's a dark undercurrent to it, you know. There's also a lot of funny people that I know are the Capricorn. Don't get me wrong. Like some of my best friends and stuff have a lot of Capricorn in them. And it is a very conservative, solid sign. People, you know, a lot of people say that they're really good with money, which is not true. But the stability in my life, like how I stay at jobs for years at a time, because I have a dual air sign. If I wouldn't have that Capricorn moon, I probably would be just a flighty motherfucker, or more than I am. It probably gets me to be more stable because of that. So you have that mixed with the Saturn thing, and what these astrologers have said is that's the reason, not the reason, but that's like the reflection of the lockdowns and all this stuff. So the fact that they're getting out of Capricorn and going into Aquarius means that things might be fundamentally different by the time this video is released, January 4th, 2021, which I hope it is. So, and they say a lot of technology has to do with that, communication, as far as Aquarius goes. And this is the first time in 200 years that we'll be out of Earth signs into air signs, in like the planets like Jupiter and Saturn and stuff. Like I don't know how that works, because of course they go into those signs, but like permanently, like in air signs, I don't see. You have to watch these podcasts and really interpret what I'm saying. But it's really, I think I get the basic premise. So this year was going to be a fucking crazy year, fucked up, dark, beyond imagination. Like, even if it's not like extreme World War II levels of death or like craziness or chaos, it's been pretty fucking crazy. Like, we've never locked down the whole world for months at a time. I mean, that's something unprecedented. So the fact of the matter is COVID cases go up, and then this graph is spot on with the peak of that. That's the Jupiter-Pluto conjunction, is really creepy and weird. But it's giving me hope, because I'll tell you why. Because it ends in December. Along with, they've said that this shit will end in December. Like Austin Kopek, who's a brilliant guy. You may not think he's this weird, like, role-playing, younger, nerdy dude, like, who's, you may just think he's full of shit, or whatever. But he seems, like, legit. Like, some of these astrologers on YouTube are just full of shit. They're just trying to make money and stuff. But this guy is not like one of those guys. He's a believer. Because he was on the Rune Stoop, like, saying this, a lot of this stuff earlier in the summer, that this stuff is going to happen, and, all this shit. Like, one thing he did predict, which I think anybody with a brain could predict this, is that the contested election, of course people were talking about that. You don't need astrology for that. But he talks about why that'll happen in regards to the planets and all this stuff and all the stars and shit. I don't know, it's fucking crazy. So, by the time this video is released, we will be out of this conjunction for 12, 13 years, I believe. And every time it happens, it's really weird shit, right? Like the economic crisis in 2008. For example, we will be in we'll be in Aquarius for, like, the Jupiter and Saturn be in Aquarius, which means to me that it's like just the way they explained it, that the lockdowns will not be. There might be some weird track and trace shit. You know, that might tie into some of the conspiracy stuff. Don't get me wrong, which is a little scary, but or some new kind of a currency or something. I don't know. They talk about a lot of stuff that might happen, but I think for one thing, like I'm in Wisconsin. I was wrong in my November 4th video, unfortunately, which I did in September 14th or something like that. I thought shit was on the way out, but I think this is probably true about Wisconsin. We're in the red zone right now with the virus. It's like out of control. All these people are getting it. More deaths, not many deaths, but you know, a lot more people have it. It's reaching all these people who probably didn't reach during the lockdowns and all this stuff, right? So Texas right now is in the yellow zone because they had a huge spike, and now they're kind of settling down. Same in New York and other places. So that's going to happen with Wisconsin. We're going to be back in the yellow zone where it's like, oh, maybe there's 20 cases a day or some shit. I'm not going to put numbers out there because I was wrong about my death totals months back, but you know, maybe there's a certain amount of cases a day, and it's within a decent threshold though, right? Like compared to where it was. Like it was maybe the better parts of the summer where there's way less cases. That's where we'll be. I predict like by January we'll be in that spot. Maybe there's a vaccine, which I'm probably not going to take, at least until I don't think I'll ever take the vaccine. I don't know. It depends on a lot of stuff. I don't think there's a need necessarily if I'm healthy and my immune system's good. But that's my personal choice. You know, that's what people say. But you know, under certain circumstances, I might take a vaccine of something. But I'm just saying right now, my choice is not to do that. I think we'll be on our way out. That's my prediction. I think we'll be on our way out of this. And you could say that's superstitious and fucking like woo, or like crazy to say that all this astrology stuff aligns with all this stuff, but I don't know. You know, it's really weird. It's really weird how all these conjunctions happened at the same time as the virus stuff, and they say, oh, that eclipse happened a week before the announcement was made of the first U.S. case. There's all sorts of different examples. I'm not talking about various examples that I've heard over the months of astrology. So the fact that they say, and I'm not saying that the virus will be over December 31st of this year. I'm not saying that. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm basically saying is that we will be out of the forest that we're in, regardless of what you believe, you know, maybe it's from both points of view. So we can have the side that's like, my God, the lockdowns and all these socialist distancing, you know, all this bullshit, right? Masks and all this fucking crap, right? Oh shit, the mask mandate's actually going to end in a couple of days, supposedly. I don't think it's going to end though anytime soon, because the cases, it'll probably be extended a month, and then it'll get another fucking legal battle in Wisconsin. So I think a lot of that stuff's going to relax by January, because things will be starting to calm down. Somehow it'll happen, because it's just my hope. All right, I just hope this shit fucking. So on that side, you can say like all that stuff will settle down. People will be able to not jump out of your fucking way when you're walking down the street anymore. They're not going to be that paranoid anymore, right? Maybe there'll be some new treatment. Maybe there'll be, you know, some kind of treatment that's like ultimate like fucking treatment for it, that was released like rushed with the Operation Warp Speed, that will be carried over by Joe Biden. You know, who knows? So maybe that'll be the case. Maybe there'll be some track and trace thing. This is my prediction. So 6 months from now, like my other 6 month video that'll be coming out 6 months from now, this whole thing's gonna be fucking pretty much like, I'm not gonna say it's gonna be gone, but it could be pretty settled down, and we're gonna be back to normal for the most part. That's my prediction. I hope I'm right? I could be wrong. I could be like, oh my God, it got worse. There was a second virus. You know, like there's these conspiracy theorists predicting a second virus released in February, and then we're locked down forever and all this crazy shit and military martial law. Fuck. Okay, that could happen, right? But for the Great Reset and the New World Order, right? So I hope it doesn't happen. But I think in January, you know, we're gonna see all this fucking astrology shit is just so fucking coincident. Even if it's just a coincidence, it's really fucking weird. You got to say that watching this video on January 4th, which I will be doing at my new place, right? And hopefully you will be too, my viewers. It's going to be an interesting place to be at, right? Because I think it will. I think at least like some of these states that are having these huge surges will be calmed down by then, because that's just what happens with the virus. If you look at the fucking other states that have gone through this. I was talking to a customer the other day at work on my job, on the job, because it's not because it's right here, but and she was saying, like, I think she lives in Washington, in like Yakima, Washington. She's like, yeah, we're relaxing some of these things because like the cases are really low now because we went through the worst of it already, and this is where we're supposed to be in the second wave, right? Makes me, Sinatra Gupta might have been right in part about how it's going to burn through and stuff, even if you disagree with her anti-lockdown stance or whatever. So that's pretty much all I got to say. This astrology stuff's fascinating as fuck. I would suggest watching a lot of these things. I've watched dozens of them, but the weirdest ones, there were some from India that I watched that were okay, but that astrology podcast, that was by far the best ones to watch, because that is so weird. And it was like, it's for astrologers, so it's like they all talk about all this stuff. So it's better to watch those panels because they all have their own opinions and they all kind of come into cohesion with each other. So I'm hoping that January 4th, when we watch this, is that's only 2 months away, but this shit has gone so fast already. I mean, every day it's something different, So I think by January 4th we're gonna be on our way out, and I think by May 4th it's going to be in the rearview mirror for the most part. It'll still be tailgating a little bit, right? It'll still be there, but it's not going to be like it is now at all. I sincerely doubt it. And all these projections about deaths, nobody knows what the fuck they're talking about. They said 60,000 at one point. They said 2 million at one point. We don't know what the fuck's going to be. It's 230 something thousand. It's actually a lot better than some of the people were projecting. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Fauci doesn't know shit, really, at the end of the day. I mean, he said respiratory viruses are rarely caused by asymptomatic spread back in February or whatever. It's like, come on, man. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Just admit it. I mean, nobody does. Not even the anti-lockdowners were wrong about a lot of stuff too. And it's to be fair, right? So, but astrology, crazy stuff, I mean, I don't know. It's really fucking weird. So, I might get my chart read by one of those people, because those people are so good. That astrology podcast people, I would love to get my chart read and say, this is blah 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 blah. But anyways, that's about all. Hopefully, in my gut, since this stuff is true so far with those graphs, which I might do a separate video on, we're going through it. I might mention too that we're, according to Osher Astrofinance, that Osher guy, we're kind of going through a dark tunnel, and then we'll be out mid to late December. Right now it's the dark tunnel with all this stuff, and I think people's personal lives reflect that too. I had some really fucked up feelings yesterday about things, and I was just like, fuck, but. And today wasn't any better either. So, in some ways, it was better. It was a little bit better. I'm gonna fight, though. I'm gonna fight really hard. I'm moving in a couple weeks, and I got everything lined up. Thank God, Anyways, when you're watching this video, just it'll be interesting to see what has happened by January 4th, and it's another time cap. I like these time capsule videos. I just love how I can release videos like months ahead, or months before, or schedule months ahead of video release. Well, that's about all. Peace out.